Santa Cruz. We are your new podcast. Go ahead and tell me.
And we're so excited to introduce and share interviews and stories that inspire, guide, heal, and entertain.
We are Susan Douglas and Denise Lane.
Today's guest is someone who has stepped into some very storied shoes and doing it with vision, passion, and a real flair for the bard and other great playwrights. Charles Pasternak is the artistic director of the Santa Cruz Shakespeare Company, a beloved local repertory. It's a company that's been delighting audiences for over 44 years. Charles Pasternak, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm so glad to be here.
Would it be fair to say that you're joining the company in 2023 brought a fresh energy to the company while honouring its deep-rooted legacy of bringing Shakespeare's words to vibrant life?
I certainly hope so. It's interesting. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and Mike Ryan, my predecessor, is a beloved figure here in Santa Cruz, and for good reason. And so many people said to me, you have some pretty big shoes to fill, and I know that. But I hope that every new leader of an organization, and Mike said this to me, brings new energy, new ambition. It's interesting. You can look at the legacies of our previous artistic directors and sort of what each iconically kind of did. Audrey Stanley was our great founder, right, and the visionary that created the festival. Paul Whitworth was the great actor from England, brought so much expertise here and really led the ship for the longest time, right, of my predecessors. Marco Baricelli was the first one that brought me in, a giant figure on the national theater scene, but certainly in the West Coast, where he was a leading actor at Oregon and ACT for many years. So he brought all of that experience to this festival. And Mike literally saved this festival. So, yeah, the shoes I step into are huge, but I do hope I'm bringing new ideas, new energy, but carrying forward the torch of our tradition, because this festival has lasted because it was doing many things right. And I want to honor those traditions, carry them forward, while bringing my vision and my experience to the process. And I hope whoever takes over from me will be doing the exact same.
Now, let's go back. You say it was saved. Could you tell the story on that?
Certainly, yeah. In 2013... after 33 years, I believe, the relationship between the university, which had been sort of the home and for the company, the university decided to end the company, to close the company, and many people were upset about that. And we rallied and raised over $1 million very, very quickly to fund another year as an independent nonprofit, which has caused a lot of confusion with our name, because we used to be Shakespeare Santa Cruz. Now we're Santa Cruz Shakespeare. I think both names are perfectly fine, yes, and I'm happy to answer to either. But because we really are one company, yeah, and I consider all 44 years to be a part of our history. But it was a moment where we became independent of the university, and in the long run, that has turned out to be a very good thing. We're in a stronger position than we ever were, and there was some bad blood for a while, but I think a lot of the reasons and the people involved in that, we've moved past a lot of those things. And I love many people at the university, and we hire so many of them for our summers, and they're deeply involved in the festival now. So I don't want to linger on sort of the bruises of the past, but there was a dark moment where, the university decided at the time, and people there at the time decided for a number of reasons, that it wasn't worth supporting the festival anymore. So they decided not to. And that rallied us to support ourselves.
Right.
And Mike Ryan, he was, he'd be the first to tell you he was not the only one. And there were other people he could not have done it without. Our founding board president, Bill Richter, being another key figure in saving this festival. But Mike was, without a doubt, the face of it. He had been an actor here for 2 decades. He was beloved for his work on the stage, and especially in the holiday pantos. So generations of Santa Cruzan children grew up loving Mike. And so he was the rallying force. And I had the honor that summer of playing Henry V in the final season of Shakespeare Santa Cruz. And because the announcement came in the midst of the summer, that production became a rallying cry of sorts. And the community stood up and saved us. And 2 years later, when we needed to rally money once again to build a new home in De La Viega Park, because we couldn't work in the Glen on the university campus anymore, they rallied again. And so twice in 2 years, a huge fundraising campaign was completed by this incredible community that loves their arts and loves this Shakespeare Festival and did not want to see it go away.
That's a great story, and obviously so many people are delighted it all pulled off and is flourishing now, right?
We're doing very well. I never want to give the message that we don't still need support, but we're doing very well, and we're doing well in an environment, unfortunately, that a lot of theaters are struggling in. But that is, at knock on wood, not the case with us. We're in very good shape.
Right, now it's a repertory company as opposed to a traditional theatre, so that means many productions are kind of running simultaneously, right? Yes,
and if you let me get on my soapbox, which might not be the best use of our time, it's an interesting thing. It's a repertory company, and you say, as opposed to a traditional theater. And I would just point out that you're absolutely right in our current American regional theater landscape. But in the history of theater, repertory companies were traditional companies. This is how so many theaters can afford to do a number of plays with a company. And a company is both us working many shows at once, but also a company of actors being in multiple shows at once. Right. And I think it is both the artistic model and the financial model upon which theater can thrive. And unfortunately, a great deal of theater in this country has abandoned that model for bad reasons.
Well, we've got the West End in London, and we've got the Broadway in New York, and that's what people think of as theater.
That's what you're right, and but that is a commercial theater.
Yes,
and it brings with it all the positives and all the negatives of commercial theater. And I'm not saying anything against it beyond if running a healthy seasonal company, we're going to put up a season every year. It's not a model that serves, and unfortunately a lot of regional theaters have sort of mirrored that Broadway West End one show at a time model. And I just...
Right, yes. Now, you're a director and an actor within the company as well as the artistic director, correct?
Yes, and in most cases, that's sort of the job. There are more directing artistic directors out there than acting artistic directors, but this company has a long history of actor artistic directors, which is another reason I think we've done well. It puts me at the forefront, both in terms of our audience, but also in terms of our company. Puts me in the trenches with them. I'm in the dressing room with them. This festival is really, really special because of the artists we gather together. And a lot of theaters would say that, but I've worked at a lot of theaters as an actor where the artistic director is sort of a shadow you see at one or two run-throughs. They really aren't around. Most of what they're doing is administrative, or they're raising money. And believe me, now in the role here, I have a great deal of empathy for how much work that takes. But I see theaters suffer because the artistic directors are not deeply enough embedded and involved with the artists that they hire to make their art.
Right.
And it's something that this company does very well. And while I take pride in how I do it, I do carry forward the torch. It's been the history here.
So when it comes to working with actors, what do you look for?
Well, obviously a level of facility with heightened language. We are a theater of muscularity of language. Shakespeare and contemporaries of Shakespeare, and I mean contemporaries both in terms of maybe writing at the same time as him, but to another degree of linguistic match. Last year we did Wilde and Williams. This year we're doing Sondheim. and Fugard. These are great playwrights. These are playwrights of miraculous language in various forms, and they can be in conversation with Shakespeare. So I want actors with a real facility for language. I want actors with a lot of endurance. Rep is not easy, although the artistic rewards, I think, are vast. You need to be tough. And I really, really am looking for actors who are positive, collaborative, joyous to be here. Unfortunately, in this industry, there's a lot of entitlement, and there's a lot of, one or two negative forces in a company like ours can really affect everyone.
Yeah.
And I want positive collaborators. Obviously, I want talent.
Yes.
And I have ideas of the kind of talent I need, a real rigor of investment in technique, in craft. But they also, nobody can be good enough to be a jerk. I might use stronger language. But nobody, in the commercial theater, here's, another dividing line. In the commercial theater, they can, the financing of a show may live or die on getting a few names. And if one of those names is a jerk, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
But here, it's not.
No,
it's not.
Yeah, I totally get it. Everyone's on the same level.
Everyone has to be a part of this together in the same way. When you hire new people, you never know. You can make your best guess. You can check references, but you find out. And there have been talented artists that I've worked with, both here and elsewhere, that I wouldn't hire again. Not because they weren't good, but because they didn't work well with others. Attitude.
Okay. So we're clear on that one. Anybody applying to the
Shakespeare play, please take note.
Be aware.
Yeah.
So where do you cast from? Are there certain agencies or where do you find your people?
Yeah. More than most artistic directors, I cast, I do half to 2/3 of my casting before there's a single audition. I have, company. I have my people that I think are excellent, that I know work well, and that I think of when I think of programming. So let's say half my casting is done before an audition notice goes up. For the other half, I do an audition tour down the coast here. Okay. I hit Los Angeles and San Diego are the two big cities to the south, and then there are some universities I hit up and down the coast between. I would like to expand it a bit. I'd like in the near future to get to Sacramento, where there's a large acting community. We do auditions here in Santa Cruz, of course, and so some Bay Area actors can make the trip. I'm a little worried that it's just a hair too far for some of them to check it out. So I might hop up to at least San Jose, if not to San Francisco in the future. I want the actors of the West Coast to have access to the opportunity to work here. It's not that I don't hire out of New York, I do, but that's mainly people I know or references I get. The internet, Zoom, these things have made auditioning across the country easier than traveling. But I don't go there. There's a lot of attitude about the quality of actors in New York in terms of, them being the best. And there's lovely actors out there, but there are wonderful actors out here. And casting from the West Coast is a joy. People often have cars, which is helpful for us.
Right.
And sometimes, if and when I can hire locally, and we have 5 or 6 local artists this year, it's wonderful, both because they're already here and because I feel it's valuable to be reinvesting in our own artists, and for that money, for that payment, and for the art being created to go back into the community. So it's a mix. I'd say I do the tour. I hire a number out of LA, a number through video auditions and interviews that are references from some of my directors.
Right.
So it's a mix,
Yeah. So the actors don't necessarily know each other. So they come together as an ensemble. So how do you create the shared ownership amongst your actors?
It's a fabulous question. And I don't have a perfect answer. There probably isn't a perfect answer. But we do a big meet and greet on the first day. I speak as impassioned as I can about how much I love this art, the bar I want to set, striving for excellence, striving to raise the artistic bar at this company. being allies to each other. We're making plays together. This is not life or death. Try not to take it as life or death. And then we go into our first reads. We also at that meet and greet, each director talks about their show and their vision and their hopes. And I think the company really forms within the first week. The most incredible thing is repertory rehearsals. We right now we work at Pacific Collegiate School on the west side as our rehearsal space. So there's a rehearsal room downstairs. There's 2 rehearsal rooms upstairs. There's a music room upstairs, stage manager's office upstairs, a meeting room upstairs, and a green room with couches. And, so actors are coming and going from room to room, from call to call. There's voice and text work in another room. And it's just the most amazing thing to be in and amongst it and see actors. Some actors come in the morning and they have, they have one rehearsal in one room, and then these actors go to another room, and then at lunch break, people go out together. Maybe some people stay around looking at lines, but then they mix and match because everybody's in multiple, not everybody, almost everybody's in multiple shows. And so suddenly you just form this web, this web of people fighting together to get these shows up in the nick of time. People go out, we have a sort of company bar. We do group ensemble work with our voice and text coach, David Morden, with our intimacy coach, Noah Luce. And so we make an attempt to do sort of ensemble calls. But these, in so many ways, our artists coming here get to spend summer in Santa Cruz. I mean, it's summer camp. You bond quickly, and you fall in love with each other quickly, and
the whole vibe of Santa Cruz kicks in. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean, this
absolutely.
is not New York.
No, it's not. No, this is heaven.
Yeah,
this is heaven for a summer. I can't imagine how somebody would have a bad time.
But the one thing they would have to get into, and is it a first for getting into a Shakespearean role?
I'm sorry. What?
So to enter into the Shakespearean role that they will take on,
right?
So, how do you support that? How do you get them in that mindset?
Well, a good question. I mean, most of the artists I'm hiring have a long history with Shakespeare.
Oh, well,
along the sort of muscularity of language, the strength of approach to heightened text.
Yeah.
You really need experience in it to be as good as I want you to be to work here, to be on our stage. That said, we do have a voice and text coach. He works very hard with people, even some of the most sort of hardened veterans. We have great directors, and we have a history of doing Shakespeare's. We've done 2 Shakespeare a year practically every season in our existence. In 44 years, I think maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions, we've done at least 2 Shakespeare's a summer, which means that every actor's in at least one. Most actors are in both. They're muscles. Like any craft, they're muscles.
Right.
And we try to provide all the support networks we can to help raise that bar. But to be honest, I mean, the actors I'm looking to hire, with the exception maybe of some of our apprentices, better have a good chunk of experience in Shakespeare before I'm going to risk a role of any size on them,
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. And how much in advance do you choose the productions that you'll be performing?
Good question. I know 26. I know most of 27. I have most of 28. I really have to think. Not every AD works this way, but for me, I want to think ahead, because I'm thinking of a group of actors that I want to work with, thinking of the shows I want to do, and I think a season should be a work of art in itself. And I hope that doesn't sound too highbrow, but I want these shows to speak to each other. It's not just a random collection of pieces. I want them. There's practical demands. I always want to open with a Shakespearean comedy. It's going to be our moneymaker for the year. It's what we sort of ride on. There are things like that I'll be honest about. But no matter what that is, I want it to speak to the drama, to the non-Shakespeare play. I want them to be in conversation with each other. And so I have plays I want to do, and I think about the conversations they can have with each other. And very importantly, I think about the artists I want working here. a group of actors that I'd like in the next year or two to formalize as a company, to really formalize, put on our website, share with our audience, give them a hometown team. And the directors, I have a lot of wonderful directors, and who would be good for what, and who's due to come back, and there's a lot of considerations.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah.
But it does get a few years ahead. And as we expand, because we have been expanding over the last 2 years in major ways, we have to budget with more further ahead. And to budget further ahead, we have to have these plans sort of locked further ahead. So there are a lot of really practical things I have to think about. Because I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that I think the right shows are in place to make the money that we need to sustain us, and to balance out maybe one or two of the riskier shows. So there are really practical things, but I don't see those practical considerations as problematic to artistic considerations. I think limitations breed creativity. So if I sort of know I have a few rules, a few guardrails by which to make my plan, I find it actually opens up my creativity. And, you never know. Sometimes the idea comes on a run or in the shower or waking up at night, and half the ideas die in your notebook somewhere, and then half the ideas coalesce into conversations with other shows and sort of get set in my mind as, okay, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I love the idea that you're talking about of having all of the shows work together. And you have a theme this year of connecting people.
Yeah, no one is alone. No one is alone.
It's beautiful.
It's from Into the Woods. It's a gorgeous song, of course. And I had to plan this season before knowing the result of the presidential election. So I know it's fun. It's funny to think about, right?
Yeah,
it is.
And as an arts leader, I take that seriously in terms of going, okay, so the plays I choose have to work either way. They can't be a reaction one way or the other. They have to. And as I sort of thought about the things that depress me in our current climate, one thing sort of separate from any individual politician is just how entirely I feel like we're trapped in our echo chambers and our digital devices and these algorithms that we stop hearing other points of view. We stop having empathy for other points of view. And theater as an art form being a great salve for that. And that a season in which all of our plays look at our absolute need for each other. All of these plays, and you could argue that it's a little cheap, that maybe every play you could say makes this argument, but I think these plays very specifically make the argument that without each other, we'll die. Two of our shows send a group of people into the forest. Within the forest, life gets torn to pieces, and they're remade, and they emerge from the forest in a degree of unity. Those that survive, I suppose. And then, Pericles is this wide-ranging, mythic play, late Shakespeare, not done often, but I think it's one of his best. And slowly but surely, our titular hero loses everything. And then for the second half of the play, we follow his daughter, who survives her own travails and then rediscovers her father. And in rediscovering each other, they save the world. And magic happens at the end of the play. And then in Master Harold and the Boys, we take the sort of mythic scope of that theme into an incredibly intimate place. 3 actors, one set, one place, one scene, goes for about an hour and a half. And the world changes as they discover how deeply they need each other. So I'm proud of the theme. I'm proud of the message. I think the world needs it right now. I think it's a good season. I think it's going to be a great season. I hope people will come check it out. Yeah,
it's very needed now. And can you give us a little heads up if you're going to be doing a Christmas Carol?
We are doing a Christmas Carol again.
Yay.
Yeah, we're doing a Christmas Carol again. Yeah, if you go to santacruzshakespeare.org, all the info's there. Our summer lineup is A Midsummer Night's Dream, Into the Woods, Pericles. Our fall show is Master Harold and the Boys. The same company, but Master Harold doesn't open until September. And then Christmas Carol will be back November and December. at the Vets Hall downtown. Tickets for that are not on sale yet. Tickets for the summer and fall are on sale. But we'll have an announcement date for our Christmas Carol tickets soon.
And there's various standards with the tickets too, right? People can come in at different levels.
Oh, yes. We have many tiers. And if somebody wants to see one of our shows, we will not let money get in the way. We have many various, we have pay what you will previews. We have rush tickets. We have student discounts. We have a lot of things. Much of that info is on the website. It's also in our FAQ section on the website. But if anybody wants to see a show and doesn't know how, they should reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure they get a ticket.
And now we will take a short break, and we'll be right back with more from Charles Pasternak, Artistic Director, Santa Cruz, Shakespeare.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Soquel Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families. And you get a tax deduction. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-640-9509. Again, that's 800-640-9509.
So we were now back, and we were on ticketing and filling up this beautiful space of yours throughout the summer.
Yes.
So when do you run? When do you start?
Yeah, Midsummer and Into the Woods open in mid-July.
Yeah.
Pericles joins them at the end of July. Through August, the 3 shows will run in repertory. And in early September, Master Harold will open. So the Shakespeare's end at the end of August. Into the Woods will run for 1 more week and close the same weekend Master Harold opens. And then Master Harold will run through the, I think, September 20th. It'll run through. Yeah, I mean, SantaCruzShakespeare.org. All of these dates and times are there. We also have our Fringe series in August, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m., Pay What You Will, 2 staged readings, and our Apprentice show, which is always a big hit of the summer, where our apprentice actors get to star in their own show. They're doing Betrayal by Harold Pinter this year, and that'll be the final 2 Tuesdays in August. So there's a lot of... We're offering more and more. We're expanding. Yeah. I'm really proud of it.
Is that your Shakes EDU student program that you're talking about?
That's a great question.
Age 10 to 18?
I mean, in a way it is. Shakes EDU is our sort of brand for our entire education program. So our apprentices are part of the education program, but these are not high schoolers or middle schoolers. These are... young professionals in training at various schools across the country. We have 1 actor from the North Carolina School of the Arts, 1 actor from UC San Diego, and 1 actor from right here at UC Santa Cruz. And those 3 apprentices are young career professionals. I mean, they're looking to go on. No, Shakes EDU is a really exciting... Our education program this year has expanded in a great way, led by our amazing director of education, Rebecca Haley Clark. We've added Shakes on the Move, which is our school tour, in the tradition of Shakes to Go, which used to operate out of the university but no longer does. And we visited schools in over 10 counties this spring, and will be continuing to do so in the fall. We've started some after-school classes, which has not been part of our programming up to this point. And our summer intensive returns, which was we piloted last year with success, and it'll return this year a week in July. I forget which week exactly. We're taking middle schoolers this time as well. And it's an intensive week of classes with our professional company members, with local teaching artists, and rehearsals for a short version of Midsummer, which will be performed on the Grove stage a few hours before the first preview of the professional production, which part of your enrollment as a student actor in that gets you a ticket for the preview. So you get to be on the Grove stage, perform yourself, and then after a lunch break, see our professional company do it. It's a really incredible program, and I'd encourage all parents out there interested in our Shakes EDU offerings to visit santacruzshakespeare.org/classes.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. I have 2 grandsons that might be interested in something like that.
Please direct them our way.
Yes.
Please direct them our way. And it's a good thing to keep an eye on, period. It's, our education program, which we're so proud of, started really in, I think, 2018 with our student matinees, and we've continued to expand those student matinees. They're wonderful, but there are certain restrictions. One is that they really start near the beginning of school, so it's harder for schools to plan for it.
Right.
And a huge problem we have found is transportation. Schools really struggle to get the kids over there, even though we raise money to subsidize transportation. Sometimes it's literally just lack of availability.
Yeah.
So Shakes on the Move brings the shows to the schools.
That's amazing.
And
so
our
cool.
Shakespeare intensive and our after-school classes, hopefully, we don't bring it to them, but now hopefully their parents or whatever life they have going on outside of school can solve the transportation issue, while still offering the student matinees.
Yeah.
So if the schools, when the schools can get them to the theater, we still can share our professional shows with them.
That's fabulous, really fabulous. Now, on the flip side of that, we're really encouraging, all the thespians in the area to get involved, but we're talking Shakespeare. Now, it has been known as kind of dusty or intimidating as a topic for a play. So, how do you make them feel totally alive and new again?
I mean, it's a good question, and I don't know that we always succeed, and I don't know that anybody always succeeds. I believe passionately that we're working on the greatest playwright of the English language. I don't think there's anything dusty about it. We have to attack it with vibrancy, with a forward-footedness, with a linguistic excellence. It shouldn't, they're not stuffy shows in pumpkin pants, and we set these in any number of times. I'm always strict with my directors. I don't want an adaptation to become such an adaptation that it doesn't feel like we're doing Shakespeare anymore, or that we're doing somebody's vision instead of the play. Right. But we're a daring company and have a history as a daring company. And I'm not going to say we always succeed, but I think we always attempt to make him fresh, relevant, new, without very carefully saying, without trying to quote unquote change him. There's nothing dusty about Shakespeare. There is a lot of dust about our education of Shakespeare, perhaps.
That's my point.
About some of our approaches to the work. So, it's like our Hamlet and As You Like It last year were very daring in very different ways. Yes, yeah. The Hamlet was set in the 1960s, very Nixon, Kennedy era political environment, with, the sort of drag group, the Coquettes, as our idea for the players coming in from San Francisco. It was very exciting and very specific, and directed by Susan Dalian. And the As You Like It, directed by the great Carrie Perloff, who ran ACT in San Francisco for 25 years, was really daring and used more of the stage than we've ever used before, and had a very meta-theatrical approach with clothing racks on the stage and with live music and original compositions. And I'm sure some people liked one and maybe not the other, or loved them both, or disliked them. But you couldn't say we didn't dare with them.
Absolutely.
And may we always dare, but may we always do it in service to Shakespeare, not in service to our own egos or ideas. So I know our actors and directors don't feel like there's anything dusty about this, and I know that our passionate subscribers don't, or I should say members. We don't work on a subscription model, but you understand.
No, after the people we want to convert.
For the
actually.
people that want to convert,
Yes.
I think we open the door pretty wide. I really do. I think we open the door pretty wide. And I'm always going to keep opening doors. We're doing a musical this year. I hope that opens doors to people that don't normally check us out.
Right.
Our Christmas Carol, I hope opens doors to families that don't normally come to the theater. I want them to have a yearly tradition. And obviously, I would love it if it opens the door to them checking out our Shakespeares and the rest of our season. But I just want to create as many access points in our community for people who love theater to fall in love with the theater we do.
Yes.
And Shakespeare is what we arguably do best, but and I think he's worthy, and I'll never stop doing him. But I want everybody to have an access point where they can, from which they can enter our work and enjoy our work. And if that's the musical, or that's the Christmas Carol, or that's the non-Shakespeare we're doing this year, it happens to be a musical. Great, well and good. And hopefully, if they like it enough, they'll check out the Shakespeare.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Now, can you share a moment backstage that perfectly captures the spirit of your company?
Oh, what a lovely question. I want to have a lovely answer.
You can have a moment.
Yeah, and I got to be careful. I can one or two leap to mind, but I certainly shouldn't share them. I'm sure some actors would begrudge me that. But that defines our company from its backstage life. I don't know. I can give you a broader answer. The actors, I've taken great pride in the last 2 years. I hope I'll take it again this year in what a family our company becomes. How they hang out together between shows, how they linger around the tables, how they hang out backstage, how some people listen, how some people get there early to warm up, and how different people sort of prepare themselves. I mean, the backstage of a theater to me is one of the most beautiful things in the world. And I love how our company interacts, how they talk to each other, how they check in on each other, how everybody sort of hates matinees because the sun is beating down on them, but they rally together and they put on the sunblock and they get themselves ready. How some of them cheat to get to the shade on the stage. I won't name names, but there are some actors who are immediately looking for where they can sort of move. How the environment joins us, how the owls join us in our nighttime shows. I mean, here's an example. In 2023, we were doing King Lear. The great Paul Whitworth, who was once artistic director, still a great man here in town, and will absolutely work at the festival again if I have my way. We were doing King Lear, and somewhere off down the hill, there was a huge party. Absolutely breaking sound regulations, and with very, very loud bands. I mean, it was so loud that it was overwhelming our sound system. I mean, even with mics, and we are mic'd, it was so hard for people to hear us that all of us, every actor on that stage was shouting into their mics. And of course, I'm also the artistic director and I'm in the show. So I'm calling our front of house team. I'm like, is somebody calling the cops? We need to have sound complaints, get a volunteer to go down there, shout at them. I was upset. And at the same time, I'm in the show, although I was playing a relatively small part. And I'm checking in on Paul, who's furious. I'm trying to make sure all my actors are okay. But you know what? I say Paul was furious, but he was such a champ. All of them rallied. And nobody felt like this was our best Lear by any stretch, of course. But the audience rallied. When things are going wrong, it's amazing how an audience will lean forward to support you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we as a company came together and leaned forward. Nobody stormed off. Nobody took off their costume and said, I'm not going on.
Right.
And there are spoiled actors out there that would do it.
I've seen it.
I'm sure you have. So is this miserable for all of us? Yes. But we need to come together in that. We need to rise above, as the great Tyrone Guthrie would always say. We need to rise above. We need to give the audience the absolute best performance we can under the circumstances. And the show must bloody well go on.
Yes,
and they, it was a great ensemble, and they rallied and they did it. And I don't know that anybody was happy about it, but nobody quit. Nobody complained beyond reason. It was a great coming together in adversity.
Yeah.
And when companies come together in adversity, you've done something right. Mm-hmm. And when there is bad-mouthing and whining and complaining and walking away, you can blame the one or two individuals that may be the root of that, but you as a company have potentially made a mistake in bringing in the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I keep coming back to this because it's so important to me that we have a unified, happy company in the face of adversity. It's theater. Things are going to go wrong.
Yes.
This isn't about perfection. And of course, I'm not talking about harassment or abuse or anything like that. That is unacceptable. And if it ever peeks its head, we should complain and we should quash it right away. I'm talking about doing your work in sometimes a hard environment. And the fact that means rising above sometimes.
Well, I hope those neighbours were taken care of eventually after all that.
At some point near the end of the show, it stopped. I think
near the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, it was close to the end. It was.
Yes.
It was close to the end. At some point, the cops got there.
Yeah. Were they told never to do that again?
They were. From what I hear, they were somewhat defiant at first. So last year, I was worried we were going to have a night.
Yes.
And it never happened. So I hope that
knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Yes. Yes.
Knock on wood. If you're out there hearing this, please don't do that. Yeah.
Because the audience may uprise and go into your garden. It might happen.
Yeah. We'll sick them on you.
So on another subject, you are adding some cool features to your plays now, like picnics, catered picnics.
Oh yes. Well, We've always had the picnics. We've always had the aspect. I mean, one of the great things about the Grove is our picnic area overlooking Monterey Bay. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the most, if not the most beautiful view in Santa Cruz. But what we are improving the Grove every year. Mm-hmm. What's so magic about the space is it's ours. Mm-hmm. And if one row of seats isn't the best, we can fix that next year. Mm-hmm. We can change. So another thing you'll see this year along the picnic area is we've expanded a whole sort of row right along the edge, looking over the bay, of new tables. Yes, we're launching our own catering line. We're calling it Line 38.
Very cool.
And it has your basics. It has the stuff people love, hot dogs and pretzels and that kind of stuff. But it's a really healthily catered options as well. Our operations manager, Shannon Craig, is leading that effort. She's fabulous. A lot of salads, a lot of healthy sort of charcuterie plates, things that are not going to be wildly overpriced. Of course, all your alcohol options, beer, wine, and booze. You have to have that.
Yes.
But, I think there's a lot of artistic reasons we're doing well, but I also think the Grove itself and the fact that coming and seeing a show with us is an event is a really important aspect of it. It's not coming to some stuffy indoor theater.
No.
It's not just sitting down and seeing a play and going, which, again, I love seeing theater. It's one of my favorite experiences. When the show is good, it's great. But you can come up and really be among your community at the Grove. You get, if there's an 8 o'clock show, the picnic area opens at 6. You can bring your own stuff. You can bring your own wine. You can bring anything you like. We don't restrict that.
Nice.
But you don't have to. You have options there. You can sit, you can sit up on those picnic tables overlooking the bay. You can sit in our beer garden. You can wander our beautiful grounds. Wednesday nights in August before the shows, we have dramaturgy talks. Saturday afternoons, we have talkbacks afterwards. We have we're launching 2 family day matinees, 2 Wednesday matinees this year. One of Midsummer, one of Into the Woods, where we want to have a lot of activities for kids and families, fairy crowns and face painting and things like that.
Oh, that's fun.
So that younger kids have an access point to engage and have fun ahead of time, and then get to come in and see the show. So we're expanding always the Grove, the experiences you can have at the Grove. And the major part of my expansion, based on both what the board wants and what I want, is a year-round theater. And that can't be outside year-round in Santa Cruz, but it can be longer than it has been. So last year we added this fall show and the Christmas Carol, and they both worked, and the community embraced them. So we bring them back, and I want to keep expanding. I want the fall to extend further in 2026, and I look forward to sort of announcing my plans for that. And obviously, I want to to be year-round, we got to do work in the spring. And I think the first steps towards that will be happening next year as well. So continuing to expand is exciting. It's always dangerous, of course, but we do it in a very careful way. We want to be one of the greatest festivals in this country. And in some levels, at some level, we already are. But we want to raise the bar really, really high. And so I'm proud of what we've done, but there's a lot of work yet to do.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah, so
Good.
What would your dream project be that you haven't done yet, that you'd love to be?
Oh, my dream project. Well, one of the joys of being artistic director is that I get to choose my projects. So in a way, one or two of my dream projects, or one or two of my dreams for the theater, if I told you, I'd probably be spoiling some announcements in the next year or two, because I get to pick those shows. I get to do them.
All right.
But I will say, for example, I wanted to bring back a summer musical for the first time in 33 years.
Wow.
So we're doing it. And if this audience comes to it, loves it, I'll bring back more musicals, but I'm not always going to replace the non-Shakespeare with them. So I need to find space to do another show. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a fourth show in the summer. Again, if this audience wants it, if they embrace it, we're always testing the waters. We're having a conversation with our community at all times. There are, I love so much of the canon. A dream would be for the festival to complete Shakespeare's canon, which we haven't done.
Okay.
There's 7 or 8 Shakespeares we have not produced. So a dream would be to complete those.
Right.
And then there are just incredible plays that I absolutely love that I want to see on this stage, both Shakespeare and non-Shakespeare. I want to produce I'd love to be producing our first Chekhov I think we've only done one. I could name playwrights, but I'm going to get to do some of them soon. So this audience will hear about some of them soon. So I'm going to bite my tongue on this one, even though it's a great question, and I would love to have a longer conversation with you about
keep
it.
Us in the lurch on this one. We'll just stand by and watch. So I'd like to just go to Audrey Stanley for a moment.
Please.
Because she was the visionary founder and I believe impacted the company hugely in her span of life with it. And she was the first woman to direct a Shakespeare play at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in 1975, the first PhD in dramatic art from UC Berkeley, and the first professor appointed to theatre arts at USCS. She shattered barriers, you write in the program. And you also have a beautiful Sonnet 18 that you've dedicated to her in the website. Can I ask you to read that for us?
You absolutely can. Nobody can see me in the booth here, but here we go. I was picking up something to look for because I don't actually have it memorized, but you have it on the computer. So I'd be happy to read it.
Thank you.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines of time thou growest. So long as men can breathe and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
Well.
Oh, thank you. And that's of course Shakespeare's greatness, not mine. But I do love that it's not thy eternal summer shall not fade. and she gave us our summer tradition, 44 years of it.
Yes.
And I hope it'll go another 44 and 44 beyond that.
Yeah.
She was an incredible woman. I count my blessings. I got to know her near the end, but near the end when she was still fully with us. Because I worked at Shakespeare Santa Cruz between 2008 and 2013, and we had tea. We would talk. She could be pretty frank in her opinions on things at times. She paid me a very nice compliment at the end of 2012, saying that I had a lovely voice, and it reminded her of Olivier, which I found deeply touching.
A huge compliment.
And then she said, "But you really must work on your pitch," and which of course is the high-low range on your voice. And so I went back to a teacher, and knowing I was coming back to do Henry V the next year, and worked very hard for months and months and months that year to expand my use of my pitch and that range of voice, which for a part like Henry V you absolutely need, because it's so big, it's so long, just literally. I mean, we talk about craft, we talk about the bar I want to set for our company. Americans tend to emphasize words with weight, so we sort of come down on it a lot more than the British do, a lot more than many cultures do, who emphasize with pitch a lot more often. And so I worked very hard on that, which expanded my range and brought Henry more within my grasp. I don't think those great huge parts can be conquered, but it brought it more within my grasp. And that was her. That was her feedback. That was just her being blunt, supportive, complimentary, but blunt, direct. And I'm very glad that she was still with us when my announcement as the new artistic director was made.
Oh, yes.
And I got to give her a hug. I don't know that she knew who I was at that point. I don't know that she was quite with us anymore, but she had the biggest smile on her face. She was happy to be in that theater. I know she was happy in that theater. I don't know how aware she was at the end, but I count my blessings that I got to know her. She was a truly incredible woman, a trailblazer, and this community is just so lucky that she decided to set up shop here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, listeners, you heard that stanza. This is what you get at the Shakespeare Company. So be sure to go ahead and book those tickets, which are open now.
Yeah, you can book everything at santacruzshakespeare.org for all 4 of our summer-fall offerings. Again, Christmas Carol will go on sale. We'll announce the date soon.
Thank you so much for coming. And again, if you'd like to tell us the website.
Yeah, santacruzshakespeare.org. That's santacruzshakespeare.org.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll come back anytime. I love being here. I love these conversations.
Thank you.
Me too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us and listening to our podcast. We appreciate you. Until then, it's Denise
and Susan
signing off.
Ciao,
Ciao, ciao, ciao.